Hey guys, what is up? Ooh, excuse me, NYK31 here. Madden 17. We're going to be talking about the Madden 17 patch. Patch that took forever, at least for me to download. I mean, that thing took a long time. I didn't get a chance to play the day it came out since it took so long for me to download. So, yesterday I went in and played some head-to-head games. It's just regular MUT, not MUT salary cap or draft champions ranked. And you see my MUT team. I have maxed out 4-3 chemistry tier 2, and you see a lineup there where I have base Ezekiel Ansa, base legend Gerald McCoy, position hero Betty Logan and JPP, and my 4DE package for my diamond nickel wide 9 is nasty. I have Cliff Averill, the base edition, and for you salary cap guys, one of the best pass rush bargains in the game mode, and position hero Delvin Taylor, along with the 4-3 backers with 4-3 chemistry as well. Ray Maluga, KJ Wright, and Anthony Barr. So the second tier maxed out 4-3 chemistry gives everyone +2 in their block shedding, +2 in their pursuit rating, and +2 for their finesse move if they have a finesse move. Or if they're a finesse move rusher, which comes in handy. So, as you guys know, I was pretty down on the tuner set, and that had me a little bit concerned as far as what this patch would do. And I'll get to my quibbles in a moment, but overall, I think the patch did a very good job. I really like the gameplay post patch, especially with the major bugaboo of the stretch and counter run defense. The reason why those runs are so effective was because the force defenders weren't doing much of anything to offer resistance and setting the edge to make those runs either forced to cut inside or make someone pay the price if they are, forcing the run outside against fronts they shouldn't be forcing it against. Now, of course, you're going to get complaints from some people saying that, oh, they nerfed power, counter, and stretch. No, no, they didn't. You'll see right away in this game here. You can still run power, counter, and stretch, but you have to actually read blocks. You can't just bounce the ball outside at will and disrespect good quality edge defenders. If you got a guy who can hold the edge, he's going to be able to hold the edge much, much better, as opposed to being forced to play wide 9 or spread your line and your backers. You can play much more sound up front, as far as your run defense goes. So, beginning here, looking to see what he comes out in. I'm getting ready to base at a 4-3 under front here. And depending on if the front stays like this or if it gets auto flipped, I'm going to have a quality OLB to the strong side, whether it be KJ Wright or whether it be Anthony Barr. So he comes out in a run heavy set. You see Barr there is going to be the underfront backer. I'm coming out in quarters coverage. I show Bliss to get both safeties in the box since they're both in their run fit, and that's perfect. The open side, lose 5 technique end, Ansa pulls his ground. Barr comes from the backside. I'm playing alley with one safety. There's nowhere to go. Can't disrespect that front any longer. And really, that's why you have teams base out of quarters coverage. It allows you to show a 9-man front, have both safeties involved in your run fits, playing alley and playing cutback, and also give you one-on-one coverage to the outside if your corners can hold up with your safeties being able to help. What teams will do, they'll play press quarters or match quarters, similar to what you see out of a cover 3 press, where they leave their corners on an island one-on-one and they pattern match underneath. Safeties look to bracket or cut routes depending on route distribution and make things happen. Carolina Panthers do that in the NFL level, along with a few other teams. Michigan State does that in the college level. Ohio State does it as well. Saban may plays more quarters looks than he used to. It's a good way to go in a world where the field is spread out more often. It allows you to play strong on run defense as well as play pattern match coverage. Can't really do that in this game as far as quarters pattern matching is concerned, because cover 4 in this game is a spot drop, but I digress. So anyhow, I'm very pleased with that. And I was also concerned about pass rush. And the reason why I was concerned about it is because from what I understood with how they fixed the insta shed issue is that they tuned the initial amount of time for a pass rush move to trigger down slightly, which had me worried at first. I'm talking to Clint, but from what he said that in tuning it the way that they did, it would increase the amount of time it takes for the initial pass rush move to trigger. And of course, my logical question was, well, how much time is it? And he said about 10%, which didn't sound too bad to me. But you're not going to really know until you play, how that's going to translate. And you're going to see in this game, this guy doesn't have a bad team. You'll see his lineup once this game is getting close to the end as I go to the depth chart. But with the guys that I have here, they're able to wreck a lot of havoc. So I don't have any complaints as far as the pass rush is concerned, with the exception of the user QB sack fumble penalty being reduced. That I don't like. I'm all for patches and tuners. Again, not having it. Ezekiel Lanza is not having that. That's what I was saying. I am all for patches and tuners fixing obvious bugs and glitches in the game. What I don't like is tuning the game down to bail out players who are doing things incorrectly or just not good enough. For example, they also in this patch tuned the not the QB accuracy, the kick meter accuracy penalty. They made the accuracy portion more forgiving. That I don't agree with at all. If you can't kick, practice and get better. When the game first came out, I was missing extra points and missing short field goals. I figured out what I was doing wrong and fixed it. You guys see in the league that I play that's on all Madden difficulty level, the struggles I have with the kick meter on all Madden, I figured out that I was putting too much muscle into all my kicks, and the accuracy becomes much less forgiving on all Madden the more power you put behind your kick. My kicking on all Madden is still inconsistent, but it's correctable with more practice by me. I know that. So I don't agree with that at all. Now here's something weird. I've never seen this before. He tries to go for it on a 4th and 24. And I'm just playing, man up 3D, 3-man rush. JPP is going to come through and forces the fumble, but it doesn't allow me to recover it, or it just blows the play dead. And I get the turnover on downs. I've never seen that before. I brought that to Rex's attention, and I'm going to show him this as well and say, hey, dude, where'd that come from, man? And can that be fixed? So let me know if you guys have seen that before, and if so, how often. I've never seen that blown dead before in all the games that I've played, so that clearly stuck out for obvious reasons. So anyway, going back to what I was talking about with the kicking and the nerfing and all that stuff, it's really ridiculous because people were complaining about having trouble kicking in the snow and in the rain. So they tuned the accuracy penalty for kicking in those conditions as well, which is insane. That's crazy. You can't be able to kick, the same under all conditions. That's nonsense. So stuff like that, people just need to man up and just get better at what they're doing. Simple as that, and stop asking for the devs to bail them out when they can't handle realistic football elements. Again, he's trying to force stretch. Anthony Barr plays that overhang, over or under front, outside backer roll perfectly. He's got good block shedding. He's strong. He's fast. He maintains the outside leverage. And when he forces the ball outside, he's right there to meet him. Now, let me go back to the auto shift defensive front for a moment. I love that feature. It's one of my favorite things about the game. And I suggested to Clint over Twitter, why not take it to the next step? What I would really love to see, in addition to that auto that aligns your defense to the strong side, without you having to do it yourself manually, what I really like as well would be to, in conjunction with that, is to designate strong and weak side players. Let me have a designated strong side backer, a weak side backer. Let me have a designated three technique defensive lineman, an open side defensive end, who's my more athletic, rangy, speed rushing defensive end. A closed side defensive end who's more of a 3-4 style DE, who's a little bit more stout and physical against the run. Things like that. Get that to the next level. That's something I would really love to see. So here you see this guy's kind of struggling a bit. I'm getting him in long yardage situations on a pretty consistent basis so far. And I'm in a double buzz zone here. One of the things that did not make it into the pass, which disappointed me, was I wanted to see the deep zone. There we go. No problem with the pass rush. Zero. But I wanted to see deep zone reaction and closing speed addressed. That did not make it in. More than likely, that's not going to be brought to the table until the next edition of the game. You really see this problem against close and compressed sets that everybody likes to run, where guys like to run mesh, multiple crossers with a deep post or a deep seamer over the top of that. So if you're a user player and you cheat down the mesh, and even if you have a deep center field defender in the middle of the field, you could have Tyrann Mathieu or Earl Thomas out there, and they just don't close aggressively or with the speed that I like to see. I am not a fan of consistently seeing deep post, deep seam being completed right in front of the single high safety, and he's just standing there watching it get caught and not closing on it until the receiver goes to catch the ball. He needs to be breaking on that while the ball's in flight to contest that route. Unless there's a route concept like a double post or a dig post that makes the safety have to choose and force him to be disciplined and not bite on the dig post or bite on the shallower post, deep post against a single high safety should not be a high percentage proposition. I was really hoping that would be addressed, and it wasn't. Even the way the defense aligns versus compressed sets is a major problem, as it causes really big issues when it comes to creating all kinds of artificial separation and space on these route releases. That's most of the reason why these close and compressed sets are such a pain in the neck to deal with when it comes to defending the pass. So that's disappointing. I noticed the interaction between receiver and defender downfield is better than it was on release. On release, it was much better than it was in Madden 16 as far as the cleanliness of it all. But they fine-tuned it on those jump ball situations a little bit more to make it more, aesthetically natural looking, I suppose. I throw a fair amount of, or I try to throw a fair amount of downfield back shoulder throws, so I noticed that right away. And I believe that was in the patch notes as well. Broken tackle frequency, I think it's a bit better. I don't think it's overly drastic. It's certainly not scaled too much in the opposite direction. I do think and feel that elusive backs and backs that can break tackles are gonna break them, and those who can't won't, and tacklers whose tackles are hard to break out of are gonna do their job. But again, it's something that, again, he's trying to force it outside. Nothing. You can't force it anymore. You have to respect the front, and you have to read your blocks better. It's not dead. You can still run it. Like, for example, in a league game that I'm going to post in a little bit with my Jets, my strong side backer, quote-unquote, is Bruce Carter. Bruce Carter's block shedding is, pretty weak. On the other side, I have Darren Lee, whose block shedding is in the mid-80s. My opponent figured out that running towards Darren Lee off tackle was not going to be a good idea, so he started running towards Bruce Carter, and it caused me some issues. I had to adjust things. So it's definitely going to make people rethink how they run the football, and if they refuse to do so, they're just not going to gain many yards. And that's that. The drop pass issue. Let's get to that. There was an issue with rack catches being dropped. That was addressed in the patch as well. But people still complain when receivers drop passes. I wonder about the Madden community at times. You know, this is a game that's replicating a sport, and by extension, trying to replicate human behavior. Nothing is automatic in sports. Passes get dropped, blocks get missed, throws get thrown off target, defenders miss tackles, defenders blow assignments. A video game can only do so much to replicate human error. A guy who has a 92 catch rating isn't going to catch the ball 100% of the time. A guy that has a catch rating of 20 isn't going to drop the ball all the time. A guy with drop open pass trait, I have no problem when he drops balls. He has the trait that causes that to happen, so be it. Is it frustrating when you dialed up a great pass concept, the receiver is open, and the ball bounces off his hands? Yes. But that's competition. That's that's what happens in the athletic world every single day. I get that it's probably a bit more frustrating when it's your ultimate legend Marvin Harrison that you either bought in a pack bundle or spent hours grinding away to complete pack sets or poured coins to get, and you see him drop a pass. But you know what? Tough. That's life. Now, I'm not talking about a bug. A bug is something different. If there's a bug in the game that is preventing users from successfully pulling off something like a rat catch, then yeah, that's a problem. But in the ebbs and flows of competition, you know, nothing is perfect. Sports aren't played in sanitized environments where everything plays out all nice and tidy and exactly how you want them to play out all the time. What you do want to have happen is stuff play out at a, reasonably accurate ratio. That's really all you can ask for. Now, I'm not someone who goes for manual rat catches very often, so I can't really speak to whether or not the patch has made a great impact in that. Those of you guys who do would have to give me some feedback on that. In the games that I've played, I haven't seen an abundance of drops. I know before the patch, there was an issue where passes to the flats were being dropped a lot. I haven't seen that happen much anymore. But otherwise, a guy dropping the ball, it's okay to be bummed out about it for a second or two. Other than that, go on and continue to play your game. Move on to the next play. I'm willing to bet that your go-to receiver comes through for you a heck of a lot more often than he drops the football. Unless, of course, your receivers in online CFM are Brennan Marshall and Eric Decker, and they both have drop open pass trait, and they're better in traffic than they are when they're wide open, and you gotta spend a lot of XP to get that trade off of them. Not that I have personal experience with that or anything. Is that frustrating? Yeah, but, not all receivers are equal. We can't have a game where you're clamoring for traits, 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 but when they're negative traits for your guy, you cry, bitch, and complain. So, as long as your user mechanics, your user aggressive catch, rat catch, possession catch aren't compromised now, then you gotta live with the outcome of what happens. So, that's my patch overview. Really like the way the game is playing now. I was nervous as to where we were headed when the tuner came out, but I'm pretty darn happy at the moment. I just hope now that they don't tinker around with too much more. So, hope you guys enjoy. Talk to you all later. Peace.